He's naked, hairy, and he's extremely curled up like a gremlin and like 3 feet tall. And he sped out of the room and he looked right at me and ran down the hall. Hey guys, thank you for 50 subs! Oh my god, I'm so happy we've made it this far. I really didn't think I'd ever even get past my close friends who basically sympathy subscribe. So I'm so grateful that we're here, and thank you so much for the support on my last video. Today I've got a new mic and a new idea, and I'm not going to be running out of ideas for a long time, don't worry, because I have a huge list. And then after that I'll probably just start making bad decisions so that we can have never-ending content. Yay! Okay, so let's get started with today's video. So to keep myself relevant in the spirit of all the amazing horror movies coming out recently, I thought I'd relive some of my scariest paranormal moments with you guys. And most of these you're gonna be like, this is not even that scary, but you have to understand all of these happened when I was a child. So these to me were the scariest things that had ever happened in my life. So there was this one time my family basically entered the back rooms. Creepy, I know. Holy shit, never doing that again. Okay, so let's restart. So one day my family was on a holiday and we had never been to this town in our life, and we had no food. So we were on our way to the grocery store just to stock up on supplies. We get to the underground car park. I would say underground car parks are scary just in general. Like there's this really dead feeling about the whole place. But today was way scarier for one particular reason. Because we don't know this car park at all, we're trying to find our way out, and you know how there's usually like a big gleaming entrance to the shopping center with like ads and like lights and an escalator? We could not find that. Like we genuinely were just walking around in the dark. We're like, where the hell are we? Now eventually we see in the distance a family all walk out this door. Now it was like a big kind of pillar of a building that was sticking up into the level above with one door. I'll just draw it. So that's there for you. We see them leave and we're like, oh, that's the entrance basically. But it's weird that there's no lights and there's no signage. The door is like gray with no signs, nothing, and it's just really heavy to open for some reason. So we all file in, and above us is just a concrete staircase. There was probably about one light, and it was pure white lighting that you get in the dentist. Like seriously, bad vibes. We walked up about 5 flights of stairs, I'd say. We just kept walking up and up. I was like, damn, like where are we going? Like isn't the shopping center 1 floor above us? Like where are we? So we get up there. There's actually nothing up here except for another door. We open this door, and off the bat, this is not normal. There are 4 doors, including the one we just came through, in a square, but none of them have signs at all. So we walk through this next door. I have never in my life seen such a creepy imagery that I did in that moment. In front of us was a hallway that stretched on for probably 200 meters. So long. It just kept going and going and going. There was no end. I think it just turned a corner at the end of the hallway, which is like, why would that even be a thing? On either side of this hallway, there is doors lined up with maybe a door's space between them. There's no signs on anything. They are all plain gray doors. No numbers, no signs, nothing. It is the most plain building I've ever seen in my life. The only way I can describe it is backrooms. Not only that, there was like one light in the entire hall. So my family is finally getting the hint that maybe we've gone the wrong way. So we turn around where we came from, we go through the door, and we have a realization. Now we are standing in a room with 4 doors, and we genuinely don't know where we came from except for the fact that we went straight. You could totally get lost in here with no way out. And unfortunately, in 2017, a elderly man called Bernard Gore unfortunately did actually pass away from this exact experience. The old man was suffering from dementia, and he unfortunately got lost inside the back rooms of a Sydney Westfield, where he could not find his way out for days and eventually unfortunately passed away. This is honestly crazy to me, because as someone who actually walked into one of those rooms, it is truly terrifying. I can't imagine how it would be for someone dealing with dementia to navigate that kind of situation. So rest in peace, Bernard Gore, bless his soul. But for my family, we walked back and eventually opened the front door that we came from. And somehow, when we did this, immediately we looked in front of us and we saw the gleaming lights of the actual exit to the car park. So I still don't know why that family was walking out. Maybe they made the exact same mistake we did. But on to the next story. This one's a pretty short one, but as a kid, we went on this walk one day in, again, an unknown town. My whole family was on this walk, and as we were walking down this river, we started to notice that the environment around us and the foliage was getting way more denser and more kind of untamed, and just didn't look like anyone was really like maintaining the grass and the trees around us, which kind of gave us the hint that maybe we were walking outside of the town and into a more deserted area. As we approached this corner of the river, we turned around and there was this massive structure in the middle of nowhere. I'm not even kidding. It was this huge, I could only describe it as like a strange temple almost. It was full of weirdly shaped windows and paintings of like eyes and like weird paintings of people. And it was like 5 stories high. I'm not even kidding. It was literally massive. And it was obvious that someone had put like a whole lot of effort into it, like huge amount of work. It was massive. It was built into the actual forest. So it stuck out of the trees, but it actually went into the forest. It was really creepy and it seemed to be deserted. But the second we all saw it, my family just all got this horrible feeling, like this terrible vibe. And it was like this impeding sense of doom. I've never felt this before, but it was like genuinely like an unspeakable sense of dread. And I just remember even as a kid, like how bad I felt just looking at the actual temple. Like it was really creepy. And my mum panicked all of a sudden almost and basically just told us to get out of there because she had a very terrible feeling. And my mum is not someone who usually acts like that. So I think in that moment, all of us kind of realized that maybe this is not the place to be. And we all just got the hell out of there. But I still remember how insane it looked. And I've tried to like find it online, but I cannot really find anything about it at all. But I know it happened because I've asked my parents about this and they also remember it. So I know this is not my imagination. It did in fact exist. So if you're one day on a walk in the Australian bush and you find a 5-story temple, please let me know because I would love to talk about that with someone. On to the last and scariest story of today. Now to set the scene, my parents' room and my room were basically opposite each other with a little hallway in between, and there was about a meter's gap between our bedrooms. Seriously, it was so close. And I used to sleep with my door wide open and my parents usually cracked open. So there was always like, I could hear my parents snoring, whatever. We were just really close together. So one night I woke up in my bed around 1 a.m. And obviously I don't like the dark or anything because I'm a kid. So I'm under the covers, but I'm still very much awake and I was just kind of hoping that I'd fall asleep eventually. Now around 10 minutes go by, and this is why I still to this day think this story was true because of the time I spent awake before the actual event occurred. So while I'm lying there, I hear my parents talking and my dad is just basically waking up and telling my mum I'm going to go to the toilet. The thing is, my parents had an ensuite in their bedroom, so I never expected him to leave the room for this because in my mind, if you need to go to the toilet and it's the middle of the night, why would you walk to the other side of the house to go to the main toilet if you have a toilet in your room, right? That makes no sense. However, around this time I started getting way too hot under the covers and I fully pulled my head out and I had my head resting on the pillow and I was looking directly in front of me at the door to my parents' bedroom, which was already open a crack. Now this is where the scariest thing of my life happens. All of a sudden my parents' door opens and out crawls this really super deformed version of my dad. I'm not kidding, like deformed. He's naked, hairy, and extremely curled up like a gremlin and like 3 feet tall. And he sped out of the room and he looked right at me and ran down the hall. I'm talking like scampered away, like crawled away. It was so creepy and it was because it was so fast and felt really real. I just screamed my lungs out immediately, obviously. So my mom comes in to check on me because she hears me screaming and I'm like screaming at her, we have to check the house. I'm like, there is something in this house that has crawled out of your room. There is a sleep paralysis demon. There is an entity in this house, okay? We need to get it. I thought that thing was going to the kitchen to grab a knife so it could come back and finish the job. My mom is like, calm down, we'll get dad to look around. Dad looks around the whole house, and now that I'm like an adult, I'm thinking about this from an adult's perspective. I would shit my pants if my kid screams in the middle of the night and tells me to check the whole house because they saw a deformed version of me scampering around the house. Fuck that shit. I am out of there, okay? I am running to collect the milk. You are never seeing me again. That kid has some demons that I'm not about to deal with. My dad, being the hero he is, actually does check the house and he finds nothing. So he comes back and he's like, there's nothing in the house, don't worry. I think you're just having a bad dream. And I'm like, well, maybe it's actually that I just saw you in the darkness and actually maybe you weren't 3 foot tall and naked and hairy. Maybe you were actually just normal, but you were just walking to the toilet, but I just saw, my bad. My mom's like, what do you mean walking to the toilet? I'm like, well, because he was going to the toilet, obviously. And she's like, no. And I'm like, I heard you guys talking. Turns out this woman looks at me dead in the eyes and goes, we only woke up when we heard you scream. What? So obviously this sends me into a panic attack because what do you mean you never talked? I heard you guys speaking to each other. And it's not like this was some crazy dream. Like I was literally just laying in my bed and I overheard you guys after 5 minutes of already being awake. I was so scared and my parents convinced me above and beyond that this was just a bad nightmare that I had. But I to this day do not believe them. I to this day believe that what I saw was real. When I watched the Backrooms movie last month, the scariest scene in that whole film for me was in the last part of the movie, and this is spoilers spoilers, click ahead like 20 seconds if you don't want to hear this. It was the very last shot of the movie when you cut back to Mary and she's become a deformed memory of herself in the backrooms. That was so scary to me because the deformed people in the backrooms were exactly how I remember that version of my dad that ran down the hall. So to this day, I think that was real. You know why? Because the next day I checked my iPad. Why was there a million screenshots and random photos of nothing, darkness, okay, on that iPad? Who did that? Did the fucking entity run from my room down and just pick up my iPad in the living room and take a few fucking selfies? Because what was that? Anyways, that was the last of my scary stories for today. I usually just have embarrassing things to tell, so this is a first for me. And this is the last of my scary stories because unless we want to talk about real life shit, I haven't had much paranormal stuff happen to me, thankfully. My relatives, on the other hand, oh my god. My whole bloodline cooked. Me, somehow I survived, but I think instead I got the curse of always being sick. This is my first time ever recording a video without being sick, mind you. So if I sound a bit different, it's because this is my normal voice versus me when I literally cannot breathe. Anyways, I'm not gonna jinx it. Damn, I need a glass of water. I think that's my signal to end this. Thank you guys so much for all the support on my last video. You actually have no idea how much it means to me. I came back after leaving this channel for almost a year, and to see that much support, it's really brought back my drive. So I will be posting these videos, guys, whether you like it or not. Thank you guys. Have a great day.